Hello friends, I am Guninder Sidhu. This is the episode about second part of the review of a wonderful book, the Book of Mirdad. In the previous episode, I discussed some part of storyline and philosophies and wisdoms of this book. Now continuing with that part, first of all, I am going to discuss the remaining storyline. After that, I will discuss very rare gems of wisdom that is mentioned in this book, and what the Mirdad says about love. In the previous part, I told that the narrator of the story, he gets curiosity to reach at the top of the mountain where the monastery in the name of biblical character Noah is situated, because he has come to know that a strange kind of ghost of a person is wandering there, and while going upwards, his all belongings are taken away. He is now fully naked, without any food and without any sport, and he is traveling in the utter darkness, and while traveling he falls down. He falls down in a deep darkness, and just one line keeps resonating in his ears, that is, die to live or live to die. And all of a sudden he opens his eyes and he finds a strange old man standing in front of him, and that old man says that you have reached your destination. Now the storyline after that old man tells him that he's the same senior who once in a monastery refused the entry of a stranger. Now that old man, while telling the story, he discloses his name as Shamdam, and he also discloses that the stranger whose entry he prohibited was Mirdad. Now he describes his encounter with Mirdad, and I tell you that it is the literary excellence, that encounter between that old man Shamdam and the Mirdad. It is really a great example of literary excellence. In literature, there are two terms. One is dramatic monologue, and other is juxtaposition. Juxtaposition is that the contrasting things, they are pitted against each other. They are put in front of each other, and out of their contrast, something new, something very symbolic is depicted. And dramatic monologue, that is a part of juxtaposition. And in dramatic monologue, the character while narrating the incident, he or she not only reveals the inner psyche of the character, but also reveal the character of the person standing in front of them. Robert Browning was the master of dramatic monologue. His very famous poem, My Last Duchess, is a great example of dramatic monologue. Now here, that old man, in that dramatic monologue, while narrating his hatred for Mirdad, depicts the greatness of Mirdad. I tell you how. In the previous episode, I told you that it was a command given by Noah, that whenever any of companion or monk will die, automatically his replacement will appear. And when a monk died, then this stranger, the Mirdad, he appeared, and he was fully naked, shabby looking. Now Shamdam, who was the senior and who refused the entry of Mirdad, he says that he was full of hatred for Mirdad, and he also says that please don't ask me that why I hated him so much, because I can't explain it fully. He says that maybe his hatred for Mirdad was because of the reason that the purity of the eyes of the Mirdad removed the veils, the curtains that was hiding his filth. He says that Mirdad he appeared to be naked, devoid of all means of protection, even a staff. Staff means sport. He looked most helpless, yet a certain light upon his face made him appear invulnerable than a knight in full armor. He says that Mirdad was looking totally helpless, naked. There was nothing on his body, but he was looking so strong, so invulnerable. Invulnerable means there was no vulnerability in him. There was no weak point in him. And his strength was even larger than the knight who is in full armor, who is in his full dress of the war, who is fully prepared for war. Now here I remember one thing that I read somewhere, that the saints which happened in history and like Baba Nanak, Mahatma Buddha, Kabir, Jesus, they used to wander a lot. They used to wander in jungles and everywhere. But don't you think that it is strange that no ferocious animal, no enemy ever attacked them? And it was written, it is because of the fact that because of their purity, no sword finds a place to have a cut. No arrow finds a way to enter. No teeth finds any vulnerable point from where they can enter. This is the strength of purity. And Mirdad, he depicts that strength of purity. He is fully naked, but for the person who is hating him so much, he finds him even stronger than the knight, the strongest of the knights. After that, Shamdam says that my every bowels cried out against him. My veins wished to crush him. Ask me not for an explanation. Perhaps he explains. Perhaps his penetrating eye did strip my soul naked. And it frightened me to see my soul unclothed before any man. Perhaps his purity unveiled my filth. And it grieved me to lose the veils which I had so long woven for my filth. He says that he removed all those curtains. His just one glance removed all those curtains which I have used to cover my filth. He says, I told him a voice most blunt and pitiless that he could not be admitted into the community. And he says that even he spitted on the mouth of the Mirdad. But he says that when Mirdad, he was standing silent, he removed the spit from his face. And he says that when the Mirdad was removing the spit from his face, he was feeling that spit was coming back on his face. He says that I allowed him to enter as a servant. But when he entered, the way the Mirdad walked, he realized that actually his master is entering. He also says that he initiated the battle against Mirdad. But from the very beginning, he was aware that he had already lost that battle. But he says a very beautiful line that a pride of a filthy, rich, or a egoist man doesn't allow the man to admit the defeat, unless the pride allows the man to be sprawled in the dust. And he says that same thing happened with me. My pride, my everything was crushed, and he was being defeated at every step by the silence of the Mirdad, by the presence, by the purity of Mirdad. He defines Mirdad. He says that for 7 years he didn't speak any word, and he remained as a very humble servant. For 7 years he was a lowly servant, gentle but alert, inoffensive unobtrusive. Unobtrusive means who is not visible, but his presence was everywhere. And he says that after 7 years, he spoke for the first time. And what he spoke contained so much of wisdom, so much of the essence of life, that it became the Book of Mirdad. He also tells the narrator that he has been wandering here because Mirdad had told him that one day a stranger will come fully naked, without any food, without any sport, and you have to give that Book of Mirdad to him. Only then that stranger or that strange old man will be released. As per the command of Mirdad, Shamdam, he hands over the book to the narrator, and mysteriously he is turned into a statue. Now the second part of the book is all about the contents of the Book of Mirdad. It contains the gems of wisdom. Just like that, it says that Mirdad at one point says that whatever you are breathing in and out, that contains your whole being. The air that is coming out is the reflection, is the fragrance of your whole being. And whatever the light comes out of your glance is the light of your being. So anyone can understand a person by just what kind of air is coming out, or what kind of light is coming out of the eye of that person. And Mirdad explains love very beautifully and spiritually. He says that if you love a flower or a leaf, don't you think that you have to love that branch which is holding that leaf or flower? Don't you think that you have to love that stem or roots or the soil or the water or the air or the eternity that is flowering that flower or leaf? So for him, the love is not for any individual or not for any single thing, but of eternity, because everything is interconnected. It says that if your love is fragmented, then it amounts to the great sickness. He also says that love should be flowing in your veins freely, and repressed or suppressed love is a sickness. And love should not be clinged to bones and flesh, but of the eternity. He says that love unites, while hate, it disintegrates. He even says that if a person has an element of hatred, then how can you expect love from that person? Because love is either in wholeness, in totality, or there is no love. Because everything is interconnected. You can't select that I will love only this thing and leave other thing. That is why he gives the example that if you love a flower, then how can you ignore the branch, the stem, the roots, the soil, the water, the air? So this is the message of love that he gives. I read few lines that what he has written about love. Seek no rewards for love. Love is reward sufficient unto love, as hate is punishment sufficient unto hate. Don't seek any reward of love, because love itself is a reward. And for hate, don't seek any punishment, because hate itself is a punishment. There is nor more nor less in love. The moment you attempt to grade and measure love, it slips away. Love integrates, love unites. Hated disintegrates. He also says that when you love others, when you love the eternity, actually you are loving yourself. And when you are hating the others, actually you are hating yourself. Without taking much time, I want to explain one thing, because it is about love and hate. C.G. Jung, he has made a very interesting remark that he learned from some Indian yogi. He says that once he met an Indian yogi and he told that there is a folk tale in India which says that if you love God, you will attain God in 7 lives. But if you hate God, then you will attain God in 2 or 3 lives. Then someone asked that, why so early in the hatred? And he replied, because when we hate, we are more intense. And we are more prone to become that person whom we hate. So hate has more devastating effects upon us than the love. So Jung suggests that be very conscious about your hatred, because ultimately you are going to be that person whom you hate. So with these words, with this message of love given by Mirdad, I end this episode here. See you soon. Thank you.